Hello everybody, welcome back to my movie review series. Today we'll be discussing The Pursuit of Happyness. Just finished watching it. You can watch it for free with a regular subscription, or not for free, but you can watch it on Hulu. You know how we do it. I will give you my overall impressions and grade. After the grade, if you have not seen the movie and would like to, you're going to want to shut off the video because there will be spoiler alerts. We'll be discussing the plot synopsis and any character development and any similar movies or major themes. And so, again, I tried out my Lavier. I don't know what it is, French word, but I forget the spelling. But I really didn't like the audio quality from it. So I don't know if it's just my voice resonance is loud enough where it sounds fine on just the my camcorder without the microphone. But I watched my movie review from yesterday, and I didn't like the audio quality, so I went back without no microphone. And so they'll be giving you the logistics, and then after the grade, you're going to want to shut off the video if you've not seen it yet. So The Pursuit of Happyness, intentionally spelled wrong, is part of the plot of the movie. It was released in 2006. It is rated PG-13. It is a drama movie with some historical background. It is a runtime of 1 hour and 57 minutes. It says, life is a struggle for single father Chris Gardner, played by Will Smith. Evicted from their apartment, he and his young son, played by Jade and Christopher Sear Smith, find themselves alone with no place to go. Even though Chris eventually lands a job as an intern at a prestigious brokerage firm, the position pays no money. The pair must live in shelters and endure many hardships, but Chris refuses to give in to despair as he struggles to create a better life for himself, and his son. Directed by Gabriele Musino. 94% liked it on Google, 4 out of 5 on Common Sense, 67% liked it on Rotten Tomatoes, and 8 out of 10 on IMDb. And so the setting is, I think it's like 1981 in San Francisco. So what I think about it, I've seen it before. A lot of these I've seen before. But I enjoyed it. Some insecurity in the characterizations, again, just with a young kid or whatever. But with a historical backing, a solid movie, definitely entertaining. I like the drama. I like the come-up story, even though that's absolutely fiction in America. You cannot make a better life for yourself whatsoever. But I will give it a B+. I definitely recommend it. Again, set in San Francisco, 1981, based on a true story. How based on a true story is, I don't know. But I found it entertaining. It's a good drama movie, rated PG-13, and pretty appropriate for most ages. So overall, I recommend it, B+. And if you've not seen it, there's going to be spoiler alerts. So the movie opens up. You meet Chris Gardner. He's married to Linda. They have a young son, Christopher. And Chris is selling bone density scanning devices. Basically, I think he sells them for $250. But it's just a device that gives you a denser or a more higher resolution bone scan as opposed to like an MRI, or I don't know what the competing technology is. But that is what he's doing. He's bought a bunch of these things and he's just trying to sell them. And so they live in a house at the beginning. I think it's an apartment at the beginning. At the beginning, it's Linda, Chris, and Christopher. Chris carries the same name. In The Pursuit of Happyness is they take him to daycare at Mrs. Chu's place, and it says "fuck" on the wall, and it spells happiness with a Y as opposed to an I. And so the happiness is intentionally spelled wrong. It's part of the plot of the movie. But basically just a young family struggling to get by, trying to make a better life for one another. So Linda works at like a dry cleaners or a laundry department at a hotel or something, and Chris is just hustling these bone density scanners. And so you have a bunch of different scenes of him trying to sell them. You get very light narration throughout the movie by Chris himself, and that's just kind of how they start out. And so the movie moves along. They're going through tough times. They're behind on rent. But Chris sees some guy get out of a Ferrari in front of a stock brokerage place. And so Linda's, really kind of strung out at her wit's end about all the work and struggling with the family life. And Chris wants to get an application to be an intern. And so he meets Jay Twistle. He just kind of, really just trying to hustle and bustle and get into the mix. But he meets Jay Twistle, who is kind of like the guy who can help him get into this intern application, whatever. And so the internship, again, is unpaid for 6 months, but they take 20 applicants and one person gets the job at the end. And so Chris gets the application, he takes it home, he's got a rush to get different places, and then he ends up getting an interview for the internship. And so Chris has a bunch of unpaid parking tickets. He's got an older car. And so the day before he's supposed to go in for this interview, his car gets impounded. He got a bunch of tickets on the door, or on the dashboard, or on the windshield, and he gets taken to prison for unpaid parking tickets. And so Linda doesn't leave till about halfway through the movie, but they were pretty much strung out throughout the movie. And Linda has to be called to take care of Chris, pick him up from daycare. And so the next day he has his internship. He's behind on rent, and I think maybe at this point Linda had already left. But in the beginning, the first hour of the movie is just setting up the scene and him trying to get stuff done. Not much to say about just trying to sell these devices. And so the next day he gets released from prison. He had to paint his apartment because I think Linda had defamed it a little bit, or just written something in paint on the wall or something. But regardless, Chris has to paint the apartment, and he's late on rent, and he has to run to go to this internship interview, and he shows up, in it's a business formal attire, and he shows up in rundown painting clothes. And so he's he meets the top guys. I forget who the top guy is, but he's pretty much minor character throughout. I don't know, I can't recognize him from the thing. But regardless, he meets the head guy, looking all disheveled, and basically the guy's what would you do if someone walked in there wearing clothes like this or wearing a shirt like that? And he's like, well, he must have had really nice pants. And so it's kind of one of the takeaway lines from the movie. But regardless, he gets the internship at this brokerage firm to sell stocks. And so basically he has to sell during the day. He has to cut down his hours. The internship's competitive. They all work 9 hours a day. He only can work 6 or whatever. He just got to take care of his son. But yeah, and so he meets a guy called Walter Ribbon, where he's got this sheet where he's got to call through different people to get to different levels of management, and he just decides, let's just call the president right now. And so he calls Walter Ribbon, who is the president of some business, and he works for Chris, is trying to manage their money. And so it's again some sort of financial services. He's in the movie, he's a stockbroker, but he's selling just managing money as well. But just any financial services, I'm guessing, doesn't matter. But regardless, he calls Walter, and Walter's like, yeah, man, can you come down in 20 minutes? And so Chris is like, yep, absolutely. He runs outside. There's kind of another guy. Jay Twistle is kind of seems to be more senior management. Alan Frackish seems to be the guy directing the internship. And Alan's like, hey, man, can you move my car? I'm about to get a ticket. And Chris is, a lot throughout the movie, he's often caught up between, do I make this decision to, stay with this internship, or, try to, play the game the right way in terms of kissing feet, doing the chores, blah, 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 or, managing my son, or, going for new opportunities. And so he moves the car, he's late to the meeting, he gets another ticket on top of the car, and when he doesn't, on Alan's car when it's not even his. And so, but he goes to meet Jay Twistle, or meet Walter Ribbon, and he's not there. So at this point, Linda has left. She's like, I can't do anything anymore. And so Chris, they move from one apartment to a motel. And so now they're living in a motel for a little bit. And he has a minor character in Wayne, who's Chris's friend, but again, they're all strung out tough for money. So Wayne owes Chris $14. And so throughout the movie, when he's really, really down on his luck, he's, like, Wayne, where's my money? And so he's working his internship, some time goes by, but then once he misses the meeting with Walter, he decides just to show up at his house and try just to make something happen. And so because he doesn't have a solid living situation, he's often carrying these bone density scanner things around with him. At this point, he's got one stolen from him. He had, I think, his initial meeting for the internship, or at least to turn in the application. He leaves a bone density scanner with someone busking, which is just playing music on the street, and he sees her running down the street with the thing that's stolen. Another kind of homeless guy steals one at one point somehow. He's trying to get on the train or on a bus or on the subway probably, and he gets stuck in the door and falls out the thing, and some homeless guy picks it up. And so you have a couple minor scenes of him chasing down these bone density scanners while he's doing his internship. He's still trying to sell these bone density scanners to make ends meet and make rent. And so he goes to Walter Ribbon's house. Walter is going to the 49ers game. Chris is like, in salesperson mode, but also trying to, be a good dad. So he tells his son, Christopher, they might go to the game or possibly. And then Walter's like, hey, come along with us. We got a box. We have this nice seats. And so Walter's like, why don't you leave the bone density thing in his car? He acts like he gets stung by a bee because he doesn't have a car. And so just try not to, look broke and desperate. And so he drives to they go to the 49ers game, and Walter's like, Chris, you seem like a good dude, but we just met, and I'm not going to give you my portfolio to manage, right away. And so regardless, Chris gets some good contacts, gets different, meets, networks with different people, and heads back. And so at this point, they're semi-stable financially, but then it's something about unpaid taxes or whatever, and the government seizes $600 out of Chris's bank account. And so they go from one apartment to a cheaper apartment, then from an apartment to basically homeless, and they have to, every day at 5 get outside this church area to be in line for a room. And so at this point, he's pretty much sold all of the bone scanners, and he sees the homeless dude running around with one of them. He's able to catch back up with him at the park and take the scanner back off of him, but now it's damaged. It's got like a light bulb that's out. And so he's trying to sell this one more, and he can't. He has a meeting, but he's like, it doesn't work, and so he has to find some parts to repair it. And so he ends up doing that. He gets to sell it for $250. We're able to stay at the hotel for one night and just relax for a day or two. And so now he's completely out of the scanner business. He's getting close to the end of his internship, and basically, that's kind of what happens. It develops where he goes, and the 6 months is about up. He's got a couple more interactions with Jay Twistle, who's kind of like his friend, but also his hiring manager. And so the last day of the internship rolls around, getting to the resolution of the movie, and again, because he ends up fixing the thing with the light bulb, but at the actual resolution of the movie is he ends up getting, the boss guy calls him in. He's like, nice shirt today, basing it off of the comment of, if he had this type of shirt, he must have some nice pants. So now they compliment his shirt, and he's like, wear another shirt again tomorrow. And so Chris gets the position, and he's just ecstatic, finding the big break where he can not be so stressed about money. And so that's the resolution of the movie, is him kind of clapping, or just like being really excited in the street. Everyone's walking by him in New York, and he's just celebrating a personal win. So overall, B+, I enjoyed it. Some screaming, some insecurity in the characterization based on some real events. Not sure how based it is, but overall I enjoyed it and thought it was entertaining. So major themes or similar movies. Major themes for the pursuit of happiness in the United States of America, and based off of the language of the Declaration of Independence. The Constitution really establishes what the law is, but in reality, when you have a bunch of a fat fuck that walks past you at HQ Flats, driving a Honda fucking hatchback that says we can do basically whatever we want, there's really no Constitution, and there is no laws. Again, if you live in the bubble of pathetic, insecure people that have no consequence to any fucking historical interpretation or any actual value to your society, you can go play games all you want. But if you actually do things that matter, that people can't accept, then there is no chance you can be happy. If you do not feel safe, you cannot literally experience happiness. I have never experienced happiness because I don't feel safe, and people say that's a mental illness. It's not. I just need a paycheck, like this movie portrays. But here in America, American corporate life is such trash. There's not a human being or American that has any sort of decency, any sort of values, any capacity for morality. It is a fuck you, where's mine society. And then when you say fuck you, where's mine, they go, oh my gosh, you're a threat. Oh my gosh, you're intimidating. Oh my gosh, I'm so literate. I stopped learning when I was 14, but I still want to climb the corporate ladder. And so you cannot achieve success in America, and by success I mean $3,000 a month to live basically at poverty level. But I personally cannot achieve that goal because crime, but if you're smart and people call you smart behind closed doors and they've never actually acknowledged you in person, it is the most prolific psychological torture that could ever exist. I've never formed an identity. I've never put myself into this world without someone denying me because they can't accept what the fuck the historical implications are. And it's the most prolific torture you could ever endure as an organism. But the inability to socialize to any capacity at all. But does anybody care? No, they just simply look at my life and say, does this have any consequence to me? Which it does. If you have a legal obligation, you aren't doing your legal obligations, you're going to be sued and criminally prosecuted to the fullest extent. I'm going to do everything I can to ruin your family like you've ruined mine. This is America, man. The shittiest country in the fucking human world, in the human species. America's the worst country, and the human beings in general are fucking atrocious. Fucking sack of shit. And so people will never change, people never get better, people never improve. It is just play games and come until you're dead, and if you can't get into the game, you are fucked. So, thank you for watching another movie review, The Pursuit of Happyness, and I will see you on the next one.